Hello and welcome back to Kaifa Makes a video. God, I'm so bad at intros. That's literally all I wrote. Okay. Johto forms, am I right? So this week, I thought it would be fun to try out Discord's poll feature for the very first time. And over there, I asked you guys what you wanted to see for a video, and Johto forms won. Yippee! So for context, last year I made a few Kanto regional variants using Hoenn Pokemon. I did this because the Kanto remakes released in Generation 3, the Hoenn era, and I was imagining a world where Fire Red Rum and Leaf Grime introduced Hoenn Pokemon by the way of regional variants. So for these Johto forms, I am going to use Sinnoh Pokemon. A very large number of years ago, Pokemon and the Diamonds and Pearls were released, and a few years later, the much beloved Johto remakes Smart Gold and Whole Silver made their way on store shelves. I didn't grow up with a DS, unfortunately, so I would spend many an hour at the shop just looking at them like a sad child yearning for a timeline where I was a DS kid. Anyways, that's not relevant. I'm bitter. I chose a couple of Sinnoh Pokemon to turn into Johto regional forms, so let's get to drawing. Well, what a surprise. One of the most popular Sinnoh Pokemon is up first. You know I gotta do some fan service, especially considering for my Kanto forms, I chose some really obscure Pokemon to redesign. Like seriously, who thinks about Cacnea these days? Maybe a lot of people, but I don't. My idea for Riolu, and yes, we're also going to be doing Lucario, is to make it into an executive. Like, from the Middle Ages, you know, an executive. Okay, it's not the actual word, but I feel like it's a word I can't say without this channel being blasted into the sun, so we're sticking with it. I'm very sorry. It's just YouTube being weird, won't let me say some words. Carrying on. It's a wild choice, but I think I can make this design work. I think Riolu is a cool guy, but it can be even cooler and edgier. I also plan on keeping its steel type, so this kind of fits really well. Even though the Johto region is probably the last setting for something like this, my boy Riolu has gotten a Nubis vibe going on, which I already knew because I searched it up on Bulbapedia 10 minutes ago. Prior knowledge, am I right? The face and head shape remains pretty much the same, although the ears point inwards to better resemble the hood of the traditional executive garment. Also, this reference picture is wild, I know, but trust me, the other one was probably also not safe for YouTube, not in the way that you think. By the way, just in case you're wondering why I just happened to know about the middle age executives, I've been playing a lot of The Sims Medieval, completely unrelated, but it's my favorite game right now. Don't come at me. It's a Sims game, so there's no like guillotine, but you can make them walk into the pit where they can battle with a squid monster for their life. It's terrifying. Like if I were in that game, I just asked to be strung up in the stocks. I don't mind. I could be there for a couple years. Just throw those tomatoes my way, fam. Interestingly enough, as I started to fill in the executive parts, it kind of started to look even more ancient Egyptian, which is kind of tight, honestly. These are only regional forms, so if I can apply the original design inspiration, but just in a different way, then I am one happy chappy. I'm sounding very millennial right now. I feel like as of late, I've been heavily exposed to convergent forms, so I've sort of forgotten the hidden art of making a regional form. Like even in Scarlet and Violet, we only got 2 regional forms. 2. It almost feels like Game Freak are phasing them out so that they can be replaced by convergent forms, because convergent forms fill out numbers in the Pokedex. Thanks for coming to my conspiracy talk. Subscribe to my channel to join the 10% of subscribed viewers. Riolu's head is kinda too small. Like this is not proportional at all. Hold up, let me just, yeah, that looks a lot better. Its pose is going to be fairly simple. I can't have another wonky arm situation on my hands. I've put last week behind me. It cannot hurt me anymore, not returning to that place. Also, I think Riolu needs like a fresh pair of boots. Oh, come on now. How cute is that? My executive. Also, I decided to give it like an axe-shaped tail. Like, come on. This is a phenomenal design so far. I'm not gonna lie. The colors are a little hard to decide on. At first, I went with this sort of inverse color direction, but then it was like, I don't know, not really fitting the vibe. Other regional forms don't really do this, and I can kind of see why. It just makes it look like a special version of the regular Riolu, what have I been saying this whole time? You know, the name of the Pokemon, rather than its own thing. So I took out the blue and I went for a light gray instead. I feel like this really intensifies its steel typing and contrasts nicely with its black fur. I was at one point interested in making it red because it complements black beautifully, but then it just sort of went back to my original problem, so gray it is. It might be boring, but sometimes you just kind of need to make boring shit to balance out all of the super awesome things that you make. I think that's how it works. I went over the eyes again because the shape of them was bugging me the entire time I had been drawing. They had been staring at me, and they were like one of the first things I drew, and I just couldn't stand them the whole time. Oh my god. Okay, I'm so glad I fixed them up because now they look worlds better. Pokemon worlds better. Okay, now for Lucario. I am incredibly intimidated by this design because what the f***? I am a little baby beginner artist. I don't know how to approach this. Just kidding. I've actually got a degree from art school, but it doesn't matter because I majored in photography, not Lucario. Once I polished up the head a little bit and added a pretty nice eye, first go, I was feeling a lot better about this entire regional form. I wanted to do the same thing with the ears to sort of point things upward, as well as extend the fur around the neck to kind of obscure its head and have it act as a kind of hood. It honestly makes it look a bit like Mega Lucario. Kind of sick, not gonna lie. By the way, I'm not making Mega Lucario. I'm just gonna rip that band-aid off right now. But something even cooler is coming up, so don't worry. I never really liked how Lucario's hips be. Maybe I'm just a hater, but it just sort of looked off, like from a proportional point of view, not body shaming Lucario. So instead of fixing the problem, I obscured it with a skirt-like lower cloak. I just think it looked kind of cool, so I did it. This Lucario is very chill compared to its Sinnoh counterpart. It's got a job to do, but it's alright, you know, like we're just gonna waltz into Ecruteak City and use the little axe on the chest to knock out some Pokemon all in a day's work. Once I filled in some colors, I really started to dig this design. Riolu is kind of cute, but Lucario has such an energy to it, like a really intense vibe, and I'm kind of all over it. Anyways, I think that is a wrap on the Riolu family. Now it is time to move on to our next evolutionary pair. Enter Carnivine. You heard correctly. Carnivine does not nearly get the level of love that it deserves. My boy needs some recognition. It is the silliest, goofiest, most unserious plant to have ever existed in all of Pokemon. Not to mention underrated. A few weeks ago, I made a video titled Evolving Pokemon That Really Deserve It, and if I have one regret from that video, it's that I didn't put Carnivine in it. And it's one of my most viewed videos. I could have very much done something here. So anyway, smash that like button and share this video to spread the Carnivine propaganda, because it's about to get an evolution, and it's not what you may think. You're probably watching this drawing footage right now and thinking, Kaifa, what are you doing to Carnivine exactly? It looks nearly the exact same, except you gave it scary oval eyes, which I'll never understand, and scales, like a reptile. Well, I'm glad you asked. Boom! Blue Carnivine. Blue Navine. My boy's becoming a dragon type. Any questions? So essentially this is going to be like an aquatic dragon monster thing. It lives in the dragon's den with Dratini and Deborah Meaden. Okay, but honestly, that's kind of it. There are no other dragon types in this place, which I feel is more of a symptom of early Pokemon type spread more than anything else. It's a real shame, to be honest, but never fear. We are changing that today with Dragon Carnivine, who has like aquatic plant skin and tentacle tentacles made of kelp. I also retrofitted its leaf hands with dragon claws because obviously. For its evolution, I wanted to do something that no one would ever see coming because that's just what I do. Most of my greatest ideas come to me in my dreams, and this is no exception. The evolution is essentially an Inkei to Malamar situation where it will be like flipped upside down. The kelp is going to take over and become its consciousness. The first sketch saw many very strange looking snake heads, and then I realized I almost did this exact same pose for my Shuckle evolution, so I can't do that again, obviously. Sketch number 2 was a lot more realized. A true winner in my book. It's always the second one. The second sketch is always the best one. Just if you're having doubts, start again. It's honestly the best thing you could do. I settled on one snake head this time and gave it a cobra-like design. I was a little nervous to do this because Japan does not have cobras according to one surface level Google search, and Johto is based in Japan. But you know what else Japan doesn't have? Horses that are perpetually on fire. So I think I'm good to put a cobra in there. I fused the other kelp parts into a dragon fruit shaped bulb on the back of the Pokemon's head. I actually made a dragon type fakemon for one of my Fakedexes, and it is literally just a dragon fruit. It's kind of cute. Probably not an original idea, but I still love it. This is all about having fun after all. This is almost quite depressing in a way. It makes Carnivine look like a husk, like a straight up carcass, and then the snake is just some parasite reaping its reward. But I'll be real with you, if you look at Naganadao long enough with the knowledge that it's just Poipole upside down, you will see the exact same thing. It's honestly haunting. I'm so sorry. You know what, I'm thinking it's time we should just wrap this up and finally take a squiz at the newest Johto regional forms in all of their polished glory. So first up, we have Johtonian Riolu and its evolved form, Johtonian Lucario. These are based on executives, for lack of a better term, and they are both dark steel types. Riolu can be found in the wild on routes 37, 38, and 42, and Lucario cannot be found in the wild, you must evolve. In its original form, Riolu evolves into Lucario when leveled up with high friendship during the day, but its Johtonian form evolves when leveled up with minimum friendship during the night. That means this Lucario ain't gonna like you very much. Best of luck to you. On the other end of the region, we have Johtonian Carnivine and its evolution Hybrivine. Carnivine can be found in the wild in Dragon's Den either by surfing or using a good rod. You can also find Hybrivine in the same location by getting lucky, like really lucky, with the super rod. But just in case you cannot find your super rare awesome Cobra Dragon, you can evolve Johtonian Carnivine at level 50. Nice and simple. I was going to do like a crazy evolutionary method, like a sword and shield method. Spin around for 2 minutes, do 3 handstands, high five your cat, and then cannonball into the Lake of Rage at precisely 2:56 AM. But you know what? I'm feeling generous today, so I digress. Alright, here they all are. I wonder what other Sinnoh Pokemon would make for more regional forms for Johto. I'm thinking like the Burmy line, definitely. Maybe Swinub and Piloswine could have had a form that Mamoswine evolved from specifically. Who knows? Let me know what other Pokemon would have been good in the comments below. Thank you for watching my video to the very end, and thank you so much for 5,000 subscribers. Oh my god. I am incredibly grateful, and I'm really glad you guys are enjoying the videos and the Fakemon, even though some of them look like this. I appreciate all of the support, and I'm super excited to keep bringing you a very random and silly video each week. I was gonna say each day of the week. I can't do that. I'm so sorry.